Yeah. I got a face made for radio. So.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lazy Lab. I can say the name in my own podcast, I swear. Lazy Lab Hunting Club podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ergo, and we got some special guests today. We got Tommy Smith and Seth Cummings here, and of course, my little dog Bruno, who cannot stay off my lap, but that's just him. Hey, buddy. So before we get into it, I just want to shout out to our sponsor who bought our coffee. So they get you caffeinated. So get some. It's Old Navy. We'll be talking Old Navy all day today. So, I had the pleasure. I got to talk to Tommy and Seth briefly on the phone, and we got some good stuff for you guys today. So, Tommy, Seth, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you guys on here. I had a good time listening to a little bit about your story and playing football, Navy, family, work balance, and everything. It's a lot. It's a lot. I thought my job in the Marine Corps was busy enough, just being a single guy. So I don't understand how you bring the family in there too. My hat's off to you. So, but Tommy, I want to talk first off about how you got into football and the path that took you on.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up just loving sports. Grew up outside of Hartford, Connecticut. Just suburban neighborhood, tons of kids around, just always playing sports. So, I loved hockey and played street hockey and ice hockey and everything with a bunch of neighborhood kids, and that was really my first love when it comes to sports. But I always liked football, and there's always a football game going on. And I was raised as a huge Notre Dame fan. Both my parents went to Notre Dame. My mom's dad went to Notre Dame. A couple of my dad's brothers went to Notre Dame. So I always say I was just born singing the fight song. So with that, even though I didn't play organized football growing up because I kind of deferred to hockey as my first sport. Just always loved football and always wanted to play. So when high school came around, hockey actually kind of fell off in terms of time commitment, was really condensed only to kind of part of the season compared to what I was used to playing. So that was like the first time that I was really able to play football and hockey. And I started playing football my freshman year in high school on the freshman team and absolutely loved it. I made some of my best friends on the football team in high school, and it was just everything I wanted to be. And more, everything I dreamed of in terms of just being on team playing football. I was good at it. I loved it. I probably loved it because I was good at it. And I just had an absolute blast. So, but yeah, I'd say, just my love for football and really love for Notre Dame and wanting to go there was just really just started at a very early age. So,
a couple questions for you. So, are you old enough to have cheered for the Hartford Whale?
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. I have a Whalers license plate on my truck, and that is the best when, moving around and everything in the Navy, that is the best when people recognize that.
Yes.
That just like brightens my day. But yeah, growing up outside of Hartford, I was such a huge hockey fan and loved hockey because my dad did what any dad does, which is connects through with his kids through sports. And we in Hartford, all we had was the Whalers for a short period of time in my life. And I love the Whalers. I was 7 when they left, and I'm not ashamed to say that I cried when they did.
Hey, anybody would, man. So a couple things, hats that make me smile when I see them are, Hartford Whalers and Montreal Expos. I love the
throw. Absolutely.
So, what'd you start out playing? What position?
In hockey or football?
Let's do hockey first.
Yeah, I could talk hockey all day. When I started off playing, I was a little bit of I played like kind of center. I was what I kind of early on remember. I was one of the bigger kids. My
Yeah.
nickname was Husky, because I was a bigger kid and just happened to need husky jeans at the time, back when those were the thing.
Were you taller
So
too than the other kids? Were you like
I
the Joe
was
Jordan of
I
your league?
I was taller for sure, but also just bigger.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I definitely earned the nickname. But I mean, with that, it was easy to put me at center. I'll be the first to tell you, I still play hockey now. I don't really have the hands.
Yeah.
Probably never had them. So I did end up playing, like when I really kind of settled in and everything, and like kids got bigger, to kind of match me a little bit. Ended up playing defense, and I mean that was okay with me. I love defense, so I'd say I'm a natural defenseman. But if you're putting a team together and you need a center, I could play some center.
Yeah. So playing defense, that seems like a more natural segue into football, just because of what you got to do. So what did you start off playing in football?
Man, I remember first day. This is kind of funny. Like I still laugh about it. The coach of the freshman team asked, he's like, "Hey, who thinks they could play quarterback?" And a couple people raised their hand, and I did. But I was like kind of over to the side, maybe like a little bit in the back, and he didn't see me. And I also raised my hand with my left hand. I don't know, because I'm a lefty. So I don't know if
Yeah.
maybe he just pretended he didn't see me, or he didn't see me, or whatever. But I always thought I had a good arm, would have liked to play quarterback, but just didn't happen for me the first day. It's kind of one of those things. But I played tight end, in like a wing T offense, which is basically like a wide receiver, the old school wing T. So I played tight end, and then like a little bit of defensive end and linebacker early on. And then kind of as the time went on, and started playing like varsity and stuff junior and senior year, played more linebacker, a little bit of safety, but stayed at tight end on offense.
Wow. So were you playing both offense and defense same game? Just
Yeah,
never on
but
the
like,
side?
I mean, Connecticut football is not like it's not Texas football. It's
Yeah.
not Florida football. I mean, it's not even Massachusetts football. I love Connecticut because I'm from there, but it is it's not known to be a football powerhouse. So don't give me too much credit for playing both ways.
Right on. So so you play high school, then what comes next?
Yeah.
Getting
I
Notre
got
Dame?
looked. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I grew up a huge Notre Dame fan. I mean, my parents didn't even really have to motivate me. I motivated myself. I mean, that's not to say my parents did a tremendous job, raising me and motivating me for sure. But I mean, I guess, yeah, some people like kind of give me crap. They're like, "Oh, like if you didn't get into Notre Dame, your parents probably would have disowned you." It's like, no, I would have disowned myself if I didn't get into Notre Dame. Like that's all I wanted. So I think, yeah, that's probably a more apt way to put it as far as motivation. Like that's all I ever wanted. So, and I just remember my parents and my grandparents saying, "Hey, if you want to go to Notre Dame, you have to get good grades. You got to do well in school. You got to study hard." And that was all I needed. I mean, I always wanted to work hard, because you could ask me when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, why are you working harder? What do you want to do? I want to go to Notre Dame. Well, how are you going to do that? You just got to work hard. So when I went to high school, I knew that's what I wanted. It was kind of cool. Like junior and senior year, I did pretty well in hockey and football. And growing up in New England, there's a bunch of it's called the NESCAC, kind of the smaller Division III schools up there that are really good academic schools, and just happen to be Division III sports. And I got looked at by a couple schools up there, just casually to play, possibly hockey and or football. And I had the grades to kind of, be in the ballpark to get into those schools. And I was flattered. It was really cool to get recruited even at that level. But I told them, I was like, "Hey, Notre Dame is just where I've always wanted to go. And I appreciate y'all's interest. Like I'll work with you, but if I get into Notre Dame, like that's it for me." So luckily enough, I got into Notre Dame. And I mean, I kind of waited a little bit to make my decision, just to see, I want to say, like where else I got in. But I mean, pretty much once I got that acceptance letter, it was all over from there.
Did you just watch Rudy growing up, like every week?
I mean, I watched it a decent amount, but I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, yeah, I definitely watched the movie, but I mean, I just watched real Notre Dame football. Like that was, I mean, we planned, more or less planned our weekends around it, and that was okay by me.
So you get in, move out there, start playing. So you went early because training camp starts before school and everything, right?
So yeah, but I had like kind of even a different path of the football team. So when I got into Notre Dame, I had also applied for an ROTC scholarship, Navy ROTC, to be specific. And I found out that I got I was awarded the Navy ROTC scholarship and got into Notre Dame. I found out like right before Christmas, kind of within a week of each other. So it was really good news all around. So with that actually, and not getting recruited or anything, I mean, I was going to Notre Dame to do ROTC and be in the Navy. At that time, I knew that I wanted to maybe try and walk on the football team or do something, but I mean, they didn't know I was coming. To be honest, they probably didn't care I was coming. And I was just gonna, get there. ROTC was first for sure, and then kind of see how everything was going, make sure it was something I could balance before trying out for the football team. So I did go out early, but it had nothing to do with football. It was for ROTC because the Navy had me at that point. So
yeah. So what helped sway you to do ROTC and specifically through the Navy?
Yeah, so there's really a couple things that were just like influential. First, my mom's brother. He was like my real tie to the military. He's my godfather. Always just looked up to him growing up, and he did Army ROTC at Providence College, and I thought that was really cool. Just my uncle Mike. Hey, what's Uncle Mike do? Oh, he's in the Army. Just I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
And so I really looked up to him. I mean, it helped that he was my godfather, just friend, mentor, uncle, everything. Awesome leader. And I love him, and we're still close to this day. So that was kind of the first thing that would really kind of put that kernel of possibility in my mind. And then the other thing that definitely was equally influential in a different way was 9/11 happened when I was in 7th grade. So I was 12 years old in art class. I mean, I remember exactly when it happened. I remember, exactly like where I was sitting and how it all went down. And I'm getting chills just thinking about it right now. I knew something was up, and like, I mean, even at 12 years old, that was like it flipped the switch in my brain where like, I want to be a patriot. I want to fight for this country. I want to make a difference in the world. When it just spurred on by events like that, like I could just tell at that age it was something huge. And I mean, up until then, I just learned about your job and everything, whatever you do is like, what I've come to learn now is like the concept of like fulfillment and just knowing you're making a difference. And for me at that time, like I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to make a difference and know that my job would make a difference. And then when 9/11 happened, I knew that job for me was going to be in the military.
Yeah. So fitting both the military, college, and football all into this. I mean, did you have time to do anything?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, hey, when you're in college, you guys know, you just don't sleep, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I could go probably 3-4 hours of sleep. And I mean, I'm not going to tell you I didn't fall asleep in class or film sessions or anything. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you I fell asleep in every one, but I won't tell you I never fell asleep in any of them. So, yeah, I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent, I sacrificed sleep for sure to fit it all in. But, I mean, I was the work ethic and everything, and like being kind of self-motivated in terms of working hard is just, it was all I knew. And to just kind of power through things and set your mind to it, do it, don't accept no for an answer. That was at the time, that was just kind of how I got through it. Yeah. And I had a blast. I had a blast playing football. I had a blast with my friends, like socially and in class. I loved everything about it. And I found time to do it all, to do my homework, to hang out, go to football, have fun on the weekends. And yeah, I just sacrificed sleep at that point.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing probably earlier, but at least the discipline and commitment it took to practice and play hockey really set you up for that structure to thrive in that environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if for anybody listening who's a hockey fan, like they know, like hockey culture is just like being an individual teammate as part of a team within hockey culture is something that like I absolutely love, and I think I've definitely said before that being a hockey player on a team as a young kid and like learning just your role on the team and how everything is to help the team, like especially in hockey, it's just like one of those things like I can't really explain unless you know hockey culture, but I love it and I admire that about hockey. And it helped me to be a good football teammate and be a good football player and work hard and be a good student
Yeah.
within my class or in any groups I've been a part of, and be a good military officer, particularly in the AD community and on a small team where you serve a role that is a function of furthering the mission and the completion of the mission for your platoon. So I could talk for hours about like I don't know how to put it any better than like hockey culture and just what I learned, at least what I learned from being a hockey player at a young age.
Yeah. So, okay, you go through ROTC, playing football, ROTC. At that time, still single?
Yeah. My wife and I, we didn't meet until she had finished flight school and I had finished EOD school. We can get there whenever you want.
Sure. Well, let's go to the career in the Navy. I mean, starting out, tell us about your path. You accept your commission, and then at what point did you find out, what you'd be doing?
Yeah, so I accepted my commission. I can't remember if it was I officially like signed on to commit to yes, I will serve in the Navy when I graduate. I think it was like the first day of school back during sophomore year. And then when it came to kind of freshman and sophomore year was a little bit of survey of all the options that were available to you when you commission. And then junior and senior years where you really kind of commit to one. Um, so I kind of ran the full gamut. I thought I might come in. I came in thinking I might want to be a pilot. I thought just flying anything would be cool. I didn't care if it was jets or helicopters or whatever. I just thought that'd be cool. And then I worked out with the Marines at Notre Dame in the ROTC unit. I worked out with them, one because it was fun. Two, it helped me get ready for football tryouts. So there's a period of time where I thought I might want to be a Marine and be a grunt in particular. Or at that time, I remember I don't know if it was a rumor if it's true, but if you went Marine Corps and you wanted to fly, they'd give you a guaranteed slot in flight school or something like that. So Marine Corps was definitely in my pecking order. And then I met a retired SEAL, an older gentleman who's a Notre Dame graduate. I met him one time, and he was just an awesome guy, had great stories. And then the thought of being a SEAL crept into my mind. And then the more I learned about SEALs, the more I learned about EOD. And the more I learned about EOD, the more I got exposed to the community and met EOD officers and senior enlisted. I felt this draw to the EOD community that I just really jived really well talking to them. I loved their just like really quiet professionalism. Like they're very confident when they spoke and everything. That really had an impact on me. Very confident, but to me it was like it really was like kind of like the best kept secret in the Navy. Like I didn't know a whole lot about it, which is why I thought I wanted to be a SEAL or a Marine or a pilot before that. But then just the more I learned about EOD, I was just like, man, like I can't explain it. This is where I feel like I belong, or I at least want to try and be a part of it, because I knew, it wasn't just, I'm going to be an EOD guy. It's like, no, you got to finish a pretty long pipeline first. So, so I found out senior year that I was selected as an EOD officer candidate, which means when I commissioned, it was like your ticket to the dance. You get to start the pipeline.
Yeah.
And then you got to make it through the pipeline to be an EOD officer. So,
Right. So I'm just trying to put this in my mind. So to be in the military and general enlisted or an officer, you have to have some pretty good attention to detail. But the attention to detail necessary for EOD just seems like exponentially higher because, I mean, life or death decisions right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that is instilled in you from day one of the pipeline. The first part of the pipeline is at the time for us, for when Seth and I went through, it was 3 months of dive school in Panama City. And I mean, it's academics. It's, so classroom tests and learning on a pretty quick pace. And then it's also finish off your classroom learning for the day and then go out in the pool, and it's practical and it's hands-on learning. And it's not only hands-on learning for you to be safe on your own and save your own life if necessary. More importantly, it's hands-on learning and practice to be able to save your buddy's life who you're diving with.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you see the videos online and like surviving the cut and everything of pool week for EOD or divers or SEALs and buds and everything, like those pool hits or everything, those are on you individually, but it's also on you and your buddy, where you have to have that attention to detail, and you're graded on, pretty strict scale where it's okay. Hey, did you accomplish X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3? Yes or no. And then you can miss one step in that checklist that seems just kind of minute or immaterial, and I mean, you fail, and it's not, you don't fail just because they want to fail you. You fail because you would have hurt or killed or injured yourself or your buddy. So I mean, that's instilled from day one of dive school and on, and on all the way through EOD school, and then even more so when you get into the fleet.
So here's my dumb enlisted question. Did this make you a better Jenga player?
I don't know. I'm still a big dumb animal, man. Oh man, my buddies and my wife remind me of that all the time. But I'm probably a better Jenga player now than I would have been. Let's just say that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still a big dumb animal. I earn every bit of that.
So where do you go? You finish school and then you get assigned to a certain team, or how does that work?
So yeah, the pipeline is it's generally about like 18 months long, give or take. So 3 months of dive school, about 9 to 12 months of EOD school, just down the road at so Panama City, Florida is where dive school is. EOD school is 9 to 12 months, give or take, just down the road at Eglin Air Force Base. A couple intermediate stops there for a little bit of training, and then you go to your first unit once you finish that pipeline. And for me, that was in San Diego, California. I didn't get on a team right away, but I was on a team within about a little bit less than a year of showing up to the unit, which was great because even though I didn't go on a team right away, which is like what everybody, officer, enlisted, new guy, doesn't matter. You just want to go on a team right away. I didn't get that, unfortunately, but I did, make the most of that time, just shadowing other platoons and other guys that maybe were a little ahead of me in school, and trying to learn, get as many qualifications I could as a brand new guy, especially as a brand new officer. And I even got to join our battalion. Our battalion staff did a deployment to the Middle East, and I got to join and just kind of augment that deployment for a couple months. And really just be a sponge and learn everything out there. It's not quite everything I thought I'd be doing when I was joining EOD. It was a lot more email and PowerPoint, but this is where both of you guys can chime in and say, yeah, it's because you're an officer. But yeah, it was cool. It's still a really great experience. And it really kind of helped me with with some of the officer stuff that I knew I had heard I'd be charged with as the officer on the platoon. But, I really got to kind of live and see it. And it was great. It was well timed because when I did come back from that deployment, I kind of had a couple more of the officer tools in my bag that I could, learn from Seth, from my first chief here, about, a little bit more about how to be an EOD operator, as opposed to, trying to be an learn how to be an EOD operator and an EOD officer at the same time. So, that was when Seth here came in.
Let's back up for a second, and Seth, I'll ask you this too. How would you most succinctly or briefly describe what EOD is for our listeners and viewers who don't know, and how it Navy EOD differs, and then what the difference between an operator and an officer's responsibilities are?
So, I mean, for us, operator and officer is the same, depending on what your rank is. Once you get high enough, like Tommy, when he put on lieutenant, and did his first tour after that, he's pretty much out of the field. So all the EOD, for all 4 services all go to the same school. So we're all the same up to a point, and then we continue on with underwater. And then what really sets us apart from that is after that, we have more of a special operations, pipeline. So we go through jump school, shooting packages, like basically tailored training to make us to where we can sync in with Marines or special operations or special warfare. So that's one of the biggest things that really sets us apart. And we have a lot of really specialized schools to put us into that. And then, we can actually phase up with the operators as they go up, different tiers. The general force is the tier 3, which is what the majority of us are most of our career. And then you go up to tier 2 and tier 1, which, would be like your Delta and Demneck. So we learn a lot of the skills to be able to move up that ladder with the special operations and special warfare community.
That's pretty cool. Okay. Yeah. So,
I'd say the easiest way to make it plain for, the general public that has no military knowledge is the bomb squad. So it's, the bomb squad for the military.
Right. Yeah. And no, I knew about RUOD, but just the underwater capabilities that you guys bring, pretty impressive. So not only do you have to be really smart, you can't be a dummy, obviously, but you have to be in impeccable shape and be able to take some punishment, out in the field and to, not fail out or be weeded out in the, the selection process.
Right. Yeah. And we have to deal with, talking about being smart, you have to deal with like nuclear physics, you have to deal with chemistry, biology, a lot of that stuff comes in. You got to be pretty good with math. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, doing statistics and equations and stuff, but you got to be decent with math, on the fly. So you can't just be, an idiot, but we do have our share of people that have made it through that,
Hey, look at us.
You're like, wow, how did you make it through? But they got through, and they're smart in some ways,
Yeah. Not only do you have to know this stuff, but you have to be able to perform under pressure, with all these calculations.
Yeah. And another thing too, I mean, where I'd say we pride ourselves, try to be humble about it for the most part, but we pride ourselves on being able to do our job, as the explosive experts and in terms of like threat recognition and mitigation and everything. But we also pride ourselves on training to the level and the standard of those forces that we're to which we're attaching. So I always kind of, whenever I kind of try to explain my job to like my mom or my grandma or like, just anybody who asks like, oh, the bomb squad, that sounds really cool. I do say like, hey, when we attach to like to Marines or to SEALs or whoever, our goal and what we train to for the standard is to be able to put us all in a line in terms of like to do a job. Like, so say to enter a house and you can't tell the difference between who's a Marine or who's a SEAL and who's an EOD guy, because tactically, technically, our proficiency and everything, we are able to integrate in with them, do our job, and as well as their job. But whatever the mission might be, to provide just whatever support we need, and really just to make sure everything is done as safely as possible.
Yeah, that's impressive. So it's at no point when you're attaching to somebody, some unit, or you saying like, that's not my job. You guys are jumping in. You guys are getting your hands dirty, jumping in the stack.
Absolutely. It's fun. That was the fun part.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, let's see. I mean, I'm basically asking you to sum up your career with EOD in a few minutes here. So I realize the ridiculousness of that question, but what stands out for you in your time with EOD?
I mean, I mean, my first platoon with Seth was definitely sticks out because I mean, I just look at myself from the beginning when I platooned up with Seth until the end of that platoon over the course of about a little less than 2 years, and I just look at how much like I didn't think like day to day that I was changing a whole lot, but just maturity and perspective and the aperture, the perspective I gained and how much my aperture opened. It was just incredible. So really just how formative that first platoon was. and how that was like that for me at the time was like the culmination of everything that I wanted and why I joined EOD. I was on a great team. We were tight knit. We had fun. We were professional when we needed to be. We had a good deployment, and we got to go to a couple different countries and do some like great exercises on that platoon. And I grew and I changed a lot. And then after that platoon, went on to another platoon that attached to a Navy SEAL team. And we went to Iraq in 2017 when stuff was popping off.
Yeah.
And I talked about a culmination of everything I wanted, and why I joined. And I look back at that platoon during that time, and I feel lucky that I got to do that because, like I said, hey, stuff was popping off, and there's a lot of guys and girls who have joined EOD. They might still be in now, or maybe they've gotten out, and they joined to do that, and they wanted to, and like that was why they joined, and they were ready to do that, but they didn't get that chance.
Right.
So I'm grateful that I got that chance to do exactly why what I joined EOD to do, because I feel very lucky that I got that opportunity, because I know not everybody did. So that second platoon, Iraq in 2017, that was formative in its own right too. And I look at myself at the beginning to the end of that too, and just a short 2 years and how much I changed, and I'm grateful for that experience.
Some people don't understand, maybe some civilians don't understand the excitement or like the gratitude that we have if you finally get to do the stuff like you see in the commercials or like you see in the pamphlets. They're like, wait, you got to do that scary stuff. You're like, no, this is like, we were practicing and then we got to go in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Mike. That's exactly what I say when, like, I might say I'm grateful that I got to go to war, and civilians, my mom, my grandma will look at me like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that." But and I'll be like, I'll kind of laugh it off, and like I understand where they're coming from. But I say, hey, when you join when you join a sports team, like, you don't join to sit on the sidelines, like you join to play in the game. We got to go in the game. I mean, who doesn't want that?
Oh, exactly. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think civilians realize too. I mean, if we're sticking with a football analogy too, how much time spent like just hitting the sleds, or
Right.
just like doing shuttle runs and everything, gassers and everything else.
Watching film.
Yeah, watching film. Exactly.
That's the boring part.
Yeah, to
but
finally
it's not. But there's
in real time is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we joke about the boring stuff and the grind, but like that's the necessary part, and like that's doing all that stuff and doing it intentionally, doing it well. Like that's what makes game day easy. Whatever your game day might be.
Yep.
Yeah. So before we move on, what are we missing about the enlisted perspective or everything else, Seth?
I'm sort of in agreement with Tommy on that. When I first came into EOD, I was actually stationed in the Middle East, and so that's really all I wanted to do was, go out into the fight. That's why I joined EOD, and so training until I finally got to go in, and that's where the magic happened, and I think that shaped me tremendously. And each time I went in, it was my point to make sure everybody came back alive, and I accomplished that mission. So I think just from that perspective, and then as I grew up and became more of a leader, then it was making sure, my guys could do my job if I wasn't there. And then could Tommy do my job when I wasn't there? Could, my LPO or whoever is below me do my job if me and Tommy weren't there? And so it just changed to that, to that perspective, because if something happens to me, then they have to continue mission. So
yeah, being part of a small unit like that is so critical to be. I don't know if you'd call it cross training, but knowing each other's responsibilities and billets. It's so working in a smaller unit like that. I'm guessing, like, I have the picture of like less formal. Obviously we're not in the field saluting each other during wartime, but a little bit different probably than the big unit, the big Navy, big Marine Corps, big Army, everything, right?
Oh yeah.
No, I had Seth call me sir every time. He still does.
Wait for that salute, Seth.
Yeah, still waiting.
He'll still be waiting.
Yeah, no, I mean that's one of those things that like definitely when I talk about being exposed to the EOD community and EOD officers and senior enlisted when I was in college, like that was one thing that I noticed. And it wasn't that it was cool that, oh, they just call everybody bro or anything like that. It was more, again, kind of what the community prides itself on, is being knowing when and where and why to flip the switch in terms of professionalism, and saluting when you need to, dropping sirs and ma'ams when you need to, but also just because you're flipping the switch on and off of professionalism doesn't, the switch of respect is always on. And to be able to be in a community that can kind of tone it up and tone it down like that was cool, but also you didn't need to lecture anybody about the concept of respect. Like that never went away, and that was one thing that drew me to the community. I loved when I got into the community, and I still love. It's one thing that we pride ourselves on, and I love being a part of Navy EOD.
Yeah, and I'm guessing because it seems like there's an inverse proportion between how many bumper stickers you have and how cool your job was, so not a lot of like huge like back of the trucks filled with like, I was EOD, you guys are quiet professionals.
I'm still waiting for mine in the mail, but
yeah. So what's next after that? Is you go right into grad school?
No, so I did get a little bit of a break after that. Coming back from Iraq, my next tour was actually back in the Florida Panhandle at EOD school as an instructor. So I valued that tour in a different way, really. It helped me kind of grow and learn a little bit more in terms of perspective. And I really embraced that role and was grateful for it, where I was put in a position to go back and kind of give back to the next generation of EOD techs, but also not get on my soapbox and preach my experience, but share my experience with other instructors as we helped train the next generation, but also with students, both Navy enlisted and junior officers, but also Air Force, Army, and Marine Corps, future EOD techs too. So that was great. And I love that tour for its own reasons too. Then after that, I went to Virginia Beach was my next tour. As a department head, I was an operations officer at a mobile unit, so like the EOD equivalent of a SEAL team, so operational, sending EOD teams downrange and everything like that, attached to all the people we support. Unfortunately, didn't deploy from there. It was like during COVID and everything, so kind of that was wrought with its own challenges. But that was the last tour that I did before coming here. And I'm in grad school now through this program that keeps me on active duty in the Navy. It's called the Fleet Scholars Education Program, or FSEP for short. And for me, it's a great opportunity. I applied for it and was selected. And I feel very grateful for the opportunity. Very, very happy that really for two things. I mean, it's cool. Like I get to be a civilian and go to civilian grad school. Who doesn't love that? But and I'm getting my MBA here at Vanderbilt University in the Owen Graduate School of Management. So that's cool too. I mean, hey, getting an MBA, who doesn't love that? But yeah, past the the superficial parts, like I really I'm embracing this opportunity. The Navy is investing in me to gain more leadership experience and really hone my craft as a leader and learn more and gain more perspective outside of the military, to go back into like the real Navy, really on active duty after I graduate here, and give a return not only to the Navy EOD community, but to the Navy and how Navy EOD fits into to the greater Navy and to the greater DoD force. So
Yeah. So, why'd you choose Vanderbilt over, say, like Naval Postgraduate School or somewhere else?
Yeah, so this program FSEP, it's pretty new, at least in the Navy. It's been around since like 2014, 2015. And it always been a personal goal of mine to get an MBA. And to have an opportunity to pursue that through this program while I was on active duty in the Navy, I felt like it was a can't miss, that I at least had to apply for it. So I would say I applied for this opportunity in this program when I could.
Yeah.
If this didn't work out for me further on down the line, I definitely would have sought the opportunity to go to the Naval Postgraduate School or any of the other partnerships for graduate school that the Navy does have, and seek an MBA. So I wouldn't say I chose it over that. I would have been more than happy and more than definitely, especially grateful to pursue any of those opportunities. But I applied for this opportunity first, got the chance, and it was can't miss. I absolutely had to take it.
I hear you there. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you'd recommend this to junior officers, people kind of following your footsteps in their career.
Absolutely. I mean, it all depends on your personal goals, and not only your personal goals, like for you on a personal level, but also your personal career goals. There's definitely a time and a place within your career as a junior officer, in particular as an EOD junior officer, to pursue this opportunity. But I would always encourage. I can speak nothing but good things about this program and this opportunity. And then really just for anyone, officer or enlisted, if you have an opportunity to pursue education through the military, you do a great job, for the military, for this country. And it's okay to be a little selfish once in a while and take some education to not only better yourself as a member of the military, but to personally better yourself. It's okay to take the bone they throw you. Go for it,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I can't say enough good things, and encourage anybody at any time to seek more, seek whatever education opportunities are presented to you.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you will be better able to serve others because of the opportunity you have here too. One thing I've been thinking as we've been talking is, so you were happy when you. I'm jumping back in time here to go back and be cadre or be teaching at the school for EOD. Was part of you missing being out in the action, out in the field? Was that a hard transition?
I mean, when I was in Iraq, I mean, we had, like I said, stuff happen. Luckily, I'd say fortunately, I didn't lose any team members, but unfortunately, we had a couple close calls, couple get injured. So,
Yeah.
I feel like me going back to be an instructor on, what we call in the Navy a shore duty, non-deployable duty. At the time, it came at the right time in my life, in my career. It was a great opportunity, like I talked about, but it was also good for me to reset in my career, and not necessarily go through another workup cycle to train and deploy and everything. And my wife and I, we got married like right before, about a little less than a year before I deployed to Iraq. So, I mean, that was my wife. She just got out of the Navy, but she was a helicopter pilot in the Navy. She gets it, and I'm very thankful and lucky that she gets it. I can't explain it any better than that. She probably gets it so much that it enables me to probably get away with a little bit more than I should. But I mean, she gets it, and it was still tough. I mean, it was probably tougher on her than it was on me, for us to be newly married and to be in Iraq. So to go back and be in a schoolhouse setting as an instructor, where I know I'm not going to deploy for, at least 2 years, and just to be a newlywed with my wife, it was the right time for that.
That makes complete sense. I remember coming back from my second deployment, being just a little shook, just a little bit, and just needing to say, you know what, I think I'm check the box in deployments for a little while. I'll go back in if I need to. But I hear that part of it 100%. And, I kind of segues nicely, with family. How do you balance everything you do and still give your family attention and spend time with your kids and your wife?
Yeah. I mean, it was tough. I started when I came back to school here, and I told my wife I wanted to play football, and that I not only did I want to, but it was a pretty good possibility that I'd be eligible to do it and be able to do it. She was again, she gets it. She was a college athlete too. She swam at the Naval Academy, so I didn't really have to like kind of sell her on the what or the why. She got it.
Yeah,
It was kind
she
of
got that part.
unspoken. Yeah, again, she gets it. And so much that it enables me to do way more than and get away with more than I should. And to top it all off, I think when I told her that I wanted to play football and I was strongly pursuing that opportunity, at the time, I think she was 6 months pregnant with my daughter. So that was our second at the time.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, she kind of gives me a little bit of crap. She was like, "Why'd you wait so long to tell me?" I was like, "Well, I had waited to tell her because I wanted to make sure it was like a legitimate possibility I could play football when I got here to Vanderbilt. That was true. I didn't want to like cry wolf or anything, but
Yeah.
I mean, she was right. She was like, "You were nervous how I was going to react, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was." And rightfully so. My
For my
son was,
second college football career.
yeah, yeah. But she was great about it. So, it was tough. I mean, my daughter was born in July, which was during summer workouts when I got here. So my daughter was born July 21st. I started school on August 16th. My wife got COVID somewhere in the middle of that.
Awesome.
And then, yeah, football season started Labor Day weekend. So I still couldn't like look back and pinpoint how I got it done or how we got it done as a family. But I mean, I can tell you, my wife hit the nail on the head. She's like, "Hey, we support you. Like, this is not a matter of like, I'm giving you permission or anything to play football.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just support you playing football because it's great. It's great for you. You clearly want to do it. It's great for our kids and especially my son to see and be a part of, and for my family to be a part of as much as they could, but really to just set the example. And I couldn't have done it without their support. She hit the nail on the head. She said, she's like, "Hey, right, wrong, or indifferent, we're kind of treating the season like a deployment." And when she first said that, it was kind of like a gut punch, but I was glad she said it that way to give a little perspective.
Yeah.
And it really, again, for her coming from the military to say that, it hit home for me. I knew what it meant, and that she had my back and my family had my back. So my first answer of how was like I still have the best support system here in terms of my family,
Yeah.
and not just my immediate family. My parents and my brother and my sister have helped out a ton and come to visit. And then my wife's family, my in-laws, they live a couple hours away in Atlanta, which is close enough for them to come visit and help and everything. And my family first and foremost has just been the tremendous support structure to enable me to just be able to do it all. So then past that, I probably don't sleep as much as I should. I sleep more than I did in undergrad. I will tell you that.
Okay. Up to like 5, maybe 6 hours.
Yeah, I'm up to probably I say I probably average like 6.5. And some of that, like my wife would kick me for this, but some of that's just because we have an 8-month-old who doesn't necessarily sleep through the night. And she would
Right.
if she was here, she'd say, "Oh, are you getting up to feed her in the middle of the night?" And I'd say no, but I change as many diapers as I can.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, with that, it's just like the perspective that I have gained from playing football and being a student athlete when I was an undergrad to being a military officer and an EOD officer trying to kind of learn everything is like you can't possibly do everything. You just can't. So every day and with everything I got going on between during football season and school and having a wife and kids you have your priorities every day. You need to make time for them and make it happen. You can't really you can't afford to let any kind of I call them the hidden hours in the day. You can't afford to let them go by. So for me, that was getting up a little bit earlier than I probably wanted to, in terms of like getting that sleep, but getting up early so I could get up and take care of my daughter for a little bit, to take a little bit off my wife's plate so she could sleep a little bit longer. while also hanging out with my son and cooking him breakfast before I went to class. So, maybe during the middle of the day in between class and football, it's a time where I would have liked to go home in the middle of the day and spend more time with them if I could, but I didn't because I would get some homework done during that time. So when I did get home later on in the day, I could spend time with them while my kids were still awake and my wife was still awake, and maximize the time I did have with them, and then just get whatever work and studying I could get done once they went to bed and do it all over again the next day.
So yeah, time management is definitely a big part of this. And, what would both of you say, or either you say, about someone who wanted to, follow in your footsteps and have a career in the Navy and or EOD or something, more specialized?
Go ahead, Seth. You've been in longer than me, man.
I'd say the biggest thing is just don't give up. I mean, if that's what you want to do, then set your mind and go to it. Because, you see too many people that go through the pipelines or whatever, and they just quit. Your body can give up. You can come back.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's that temptation to give up is always there, but the endurance to be able to push through that and find a new, room of strength within yourself. Hard to describe those things, because when you're in those dark moments, you got to find something to move you forward.
Oh yeah. No, I had a heat stroke in dive school, and I was pulled out of training for 2 weeks. So that was my choice if I wanted to, but I continued on, and didn't give up for anything because I knew it was my dream.
Yeah. I mean, I tell, I've been benefited from getting perspective again of being surrounded by some of the awesome guys on the football team here at Vanderbilt. And it's been really cool. I mean, those guys treated me, they even told me they forgot I was 32. So that was pretty cool. That was one of the best compliments I got, even though we don't necessarily listen to the same music. But I mean, it was really cool. Like, they were nothing but just like, had nothing but admiration and just respect for my time in the military. And I was appreciative of that. Like, but I'd tell them, I was like, I mean, any of those guys, like, you guys could do it. Like, you really can. Like, I know what y'all are made of when it comes, and just for them, like, I've seen them commit to a task and preparation and practice and going out and performing the game. Like, I appreciate you guys, having this admiration and looking up to me and everything. But like, I mean, the only thing different between me and you is like, okay, yeah, I'm 10 years older, more than 10 years older than most of you guys. So I've had a couple more opportunities and been placed in a couple more situations than y'all have. But I made the same decisions and took the same actions that y'all would make. Like, I'm no different, and you guys are no different. Like, if you guys wanted to, you guys could do it, and you could probably do it better than me. So, it's just, I mean, just everybody has it within themselves. It's just really finding it, and really, I guess I'd say, like, not being afraid to just allow yourself to bring it out and let it go. Because it's, the human body, the human mind, they're when you unleash their full potential of them working together in unison, it's can do just tremendous things. And it's really empowering, because then it's just like, all right, hey, what's the next challenge? What's the next thing I can do?
Yeah. And I don't think anything can say that better than just kind of that living testament of knowing someone who's done it and is doing it, like you guys who have been there, because it's an abstract concept until you see someone like, your uncle, or you see someone you looked up to that helped you join in the first place, or, got you in that pipeline. So really appreciate, both of you being that living example for others who want to follow in the footsteps. Before we sign off for today, how can Lazy Lab Hunting Club support you guys and get you to where you're going?
I mean, I'd say just, I just appreciate y'all having, taking an interest in my story, and I've said letting me come on here and tell it. I don't like to talk about myself a whole lot, but Mike, you made it easy, man. So, I always say, if this platform or any platform that takes an interest in my story, whether it's football or school or family or the military or Navy EOD, if that inspires one person, to dig deep within themselves to pull something out of themselves and really just take the next step to go accomplish it, then great. Even better if it inspires the next future person to go to Notre Dame and do Navy ROTC and be an EOD officer and play football. Like any or all of those things. Like if it inspires one person, then I call that a success. So just, hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for taking an interest and giving me a platform. And Mike, thanks to you for, like I said, making it easy.
Happy to do it, brother. And Seth, you're nodding along, so it sounds like you agree with most of it. And that beautiful beard is just glistening. You got any words of wisdom for us?
No, I'd say just keep doing what you guys are doing. Like I watch your guys' hunting trips and the support you're giving to veterans. I would say just keep doing that. Giving back and putting people like Tommy on the spotlight to hear their stories and how they accomplished what they did. And I think just that alone gives will affect lives and affect change. So I think just keep doing what you guys are doing. It's awesome.
I agree 100%. So thank you everyone for listening. We'll chat for a few seconds here afterwards, and we'll see you next time, everyone.